What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Leo coming to you guys with yet another video, coming to you guys with another reaction. 10 best WWE matches of 2018. 2018 was, how could I put it? It wasn't the best year, in all honesty. It was a lot of things that were going on in 2018. Like, there were matches that had a lot of promise to be something, and then it just didn't fall through. Like the Shinsuke and AJ feud and their matches, especially the one that they had at WrestleMania, didn't hit. Then like you had both Royal Rumble winners that year lose at WrestleMania, and it kind of just diminished what the Royal Rumble meant, just because they had both of their winners lose when they did not need to lose. I still stand by. Asuka should have won against Charlotte, and Shinsuke should have won against AJ. Simple as that. I cannot stress that enough.
2018 was the last year that WWE was unopposed as a major force in the US wrestling world, as AEW would form the very next year. You would think this would result in a year of bad programming, as the company had no competition to give it a kick up the wazoo. In some ways this is true, as the booking was as turgid as usual, but the actual wrestling was pretty darn good. How good, I hear you ask? Let's find out. I'm Adam Pachisi from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 best WWE matches of 2018. Join us. Number 10, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose at Hell in a Cell. Hell in a Cell 2018 might have culminated with that Roman Reigns-Braun Strowman match that stupidly ended in a DQ, but at least there was some good wrestling on the show prior to it. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, who were backing Roman as part of a Shield reunion, were facing off against Raw Tag Team Champions Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, who were a part of Strowman's short-lived Dogs of War faction. Did you remember that that's what they were called? No, you didn't, you filthy liar. These four past and future world champions were given 25 minutes to play with, and they made every single one of them count. The action was just non-stop, full of twists and turns, and the result could have swung either way at any point. This was a reminder of how good tag team wrestling could be, as WWE had been neglecting it for the longest time. In the end, the Show-Off and the Scotsman retained their gold after McIntyre hit Rollins perfectly with a Claymore, whilst he had Ziggler up for a Falcon Arrow. Number 9.
Hi, Mickey. Are you experiencing any vertigo?
I guess I am feeling a little dizzy.
Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles at TLC. After over a year as WWE champion, AJ Styles finally lost his crown on the
This feud was really good, considering like everything that AJ's been doing, like holding that title for a year and then going on to hold that title and have great matches with many different great talent. And then you had the story of Daniel Bryan coming back into the ring, and then not only coming back to the ring but winning the WWE Championship, and then having a great heel run on top of that. Like it was really good.
November 13th, 2018 episode of SmackDown, after Daniel Bryan turned heel by planting the Phenomenal One right in the gonads. Their big title rematch came at TLC in December. Bryan wasn't quite his full eco-maniac character yet, but he was still a thoroughly dislikable baddie, because when Bryan Danielson wants you to boo him, he will make you boo him. When Styles joined WWE in 2016, Bryan retired just a month later, depriving fans of the chance to see the two in action for what many thought would be forever. Now they had a proper pay-per-view singles match between the two, and it delivered in spades. Crisper than crisp and smoother than smooth, this pair of in-ring wizards cast their spell over the TLC audience, who were more than happy to be entranced. Though not the greatest match of all time, which these two probably could have had, this was still a masterful display of how this whole wrestling thing works from two of the best to ever do it. Bryan won, this time without kicking anybody in the balls. Good for him. Number 8, The Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor.
It's crazy just to think about like how many times AJ just kept getting low blowed. Like he got low blowed by Daniel Bryan, then he got low blowed literally early in the year numerous times by Shinsuke. Like people just had a beef with him and just wanted to just continue to kick him in the balls every single time. This was another great match. I think this is like WrestleMania 34 was not a good pay-per-view. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it's gonna be in conversation to be one of the worst WrestleManias. But this match kind of was like one of the only good things that actually happened on the show.
At WrestleMania 34, WWE were very smart in the build to this triple threat at WrestleMania 34 as they let Intercontinental Champion The Miz sit on the sidelines whilst his challengers Seth Rollins and Finn Balor had excellent matches on Raw every single week. This is why they're worth billions of dollars. The big day finally rolled around and this was the bout chosen to open the main show. That was 100% the right call as it turned out to be one of the strongest opening matches in Mania history. Fans expected a lot from Balor and Rollins, not just because of their work with each other, but because they were two of the most exciting workers on the whole roster at the time. Miz, though several rungs down the ladder from the other two in some fans' eyes, added a new dynamic to the battle, one that mainly involved him being a knob and trying to steal pins. The action was fast and furious, with too many memorable spots to recount here. Rollins ended up hitting a...
It worked because you had Miz being like the heel that he was. And then, like, I hope they had one of their other matches on here, which was Seth Rollins defending the IC title versus The Miz at Backlash, because that match was really good. I really think that, like he said, this was, like, one of the best opening matches that they put on in WrestleMania history. You had the IC title. It looked like it was seeing a rejuvenation and stuff like that. And I feel like they were on the right track with this match for sure.
Curb stomped to Balor whilst he was on top of Miz, then drilled the champion with another finisher to pick up his first IC title. Number 7, the 7-man gauntlet on Raw. Most of the time, Raw is pretty formulaic. There are some matches,
Now this was really good because I loved this gauntlet, and you had like Seth Rollins was pretty much the MVP of this match. Like the fact that you had him pretty much almost run the gauntlet. I think he eliminated Roman in there. And I think he eliminated John Cena, if I'm not mistaken. But he really ran the gauntlet, and it really like got the crowd behind him again and got him more over.
Promos, some video packages, about 8 billion commercials, same old, same old. However, every once in a while, WWE will give us an episode of their flagship show that is completely unique. Case in point, the February 19th, 2018 edition, where nearly 2/3 of the show was taken up by just one match. The 7 men set to fight at the upcoming Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Braun Strowman, The Miz, Finn Balor, John Cena, Elias, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, were put into a gauntlet match with Rollins and Reigns kicking things off. Rollins beat his former stablemate after a lengthy battle before upsetting Cena in the next section. Before Elias, of all people, eliminated him, Rollins had wrestled for 1 hour and 5 minutes, the longest single performance in Raw's history. As well as being record-breaking, this match was also just gripping to watch, as every time you thought it was going to end, it just kept going. This was a bold step for WWE to take, and it paid off perfectly, giving every guy a chance to shine and building serious momentum ahead of the chamber. Number 6.
Hey, I'm gonna grab us some cold foam coffee? Wait.
Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H and Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania 34. When The Rock and Ronda Rousey confronted Stephanie McMahon...
I will always stand by this. This was literally Ronda's best run throughout this year going into 2019. That was like her best run. When she came back, it just seemed like everything was just off. She didn't want to be there. Everything kind of just wasn't aligning right. The promos weren't good. The matches that she had weren't good. Like the feuds that she was being put in, I wouldn't say were bad. It's just the execution of those feuds were not handled the right way. Mainly the Ronda versus Liv Morgan feud that had potential, but it just really killed Liv Morgan for the longest time. And now she's finally in the spot that we need her to be. But back then, it could have helped her be elevated to another level. But we had a different regime kind of back then, so it really couldn't be where we want it to be. Think everything that it lined perfectly. We got Triple H for sure. And then, but like I said, this was like her best run. Like the match that she had at WrestleMania 34 was really good. I think that would literally has to be like the second best match that was on the card. There was another great match on there, but I don't know if it's going to be on there. But it still was not a good pay-per-view to look back on.
And Triple H at WrestleMania 31, little did we know that they were laying the groundwork for a match 3 years down the line. By the time Mania 34 rolled around, Rock looked a little different, wearing a singlet and calling himself an Olympic gold medalist. Oh wait, that's Kurt Angle, silly me. Though maybe they didn't get their first choice, the Authority still went to battle with Rousey and a bald attitude era legend in Rowdy Ronda's first official match in WWE. And it was in no one's
Supposed to be The Rock, but I think The Rock had a very busy schedule to where he couldn't make it, so they slotted in Kurt Angle, which still is not a bad replacement because the match still was really good.
Certain terms, a delight. This was sports entertainment at its finest. 4 over-the-top characters going at it in a match where wrestling proficiency was a distant second to drama and entertainment. Rousey looked like a total beast in her debut, even going toe-to-toe with the H-Man at one point, before locking an armbar in on Steph to make her tap out in the only reasonable conclusion. Just a properly fun match that somehow outshone everything else on the card. This bout went a long way in solidifying Rousey's status as wrestling's new superstar. I'm sure that goodwill will last forever. Number 5, Becky Lynch versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair at TLC. The SmackDown Women's Championship clash from TLC 2018 was just the 4th all-female pay-per-view main event in company history, and it felt completely natural that these gals take the top spot. Becky Lynch was defending her prize against
If this was like the catalyst for them doing WrestleMania 35 and having the women main event. Part of me kind of feels like when this happened, it kind of started to change the tides and the turn of the tides into possibly having the women main event WrestleMania, which they ended up doing. And this match was really good just for the fact that you had Becky and Charlotte, who have a lot of history, everything like that, and you had the story of Becky trying to prove herself, trying to get over, trying to change things up, and she turned heel, but it really didn't work only because the fans, it just garnered the fans to cheer her even more to where she got nuclear crowd reactions, and people wanted to see her. People wanted to see her be a champion, and then you had Asuka, everything that she's been through with Charlotte throughout that year, which pretty much led to her winning the Royal Rumble, but then failing to capture the title at WrestleMania.
Asuka and Charlotte Flair in a tables, ladders and chairs match. These 3 women were perfectly suited to this environment as they'd all been in wars in the past, and they left no stone unturned in exploring this violent match type. Bodies, debris, bits of Asuka's face paints, you name it, it was flying everywhere during this chaotic clash. Tables were broken, ladders were leapt from, chairs were used for everything except sitting. This was a wild brawl with an equally wild finish. Ronda Rousey, who by this point was Raw Women's Champion, came out and cost Becky Lynch the match right as she had the belt in her grasp. This allowed Asuka to win her first main roster championship and set the stage for Rousey versus Lynch at the upcoming WrestleMania 35. Oh yeah, and Charlotte Flair too. I was hoping that if I didn't say anything, I might be able to retroactively get...
We didn't need her to be involved whatsoever. It's like people wanted to see Ronda versus Becky. People wanted to see that. I remember wanting to see that match, and crazy, believe it or not, I really was a huge Becky Lynch fan at around this time, and I wanted to see those two face. Charlotte was just the person that nobody wanted in this match. Nobody wanted her as champion, but we knew what Vince was doing. We knew he was not going to allow Charlotte to play second fiddle to anybody. She was going to be the focal point, whether we liked it or not. She was going to be a champion again, and it came at the expense of Asuka once again.
Pulled from the match. Number 4, Seth Rollins.
Fire TV has so many great recommendations.
Yeah, serves up the best options from all my apps in one place. It's like it knows what I want to watch before I do.
The orangutans have escaped this.
That was
Rollins versus The Miz at...
another pay-per-view that was terrible, but this match was the best match on the card. easily.
Backlash. Remember that WrestleMania 34 opener we discussed earlier? Surely that was only good because Rollins and Balor were in it, right? Think again, pal. 1 month on from losing the Intercontinental title to Seth Rollins, The Miz fought the new champ one-on-one to open 2018's Backlash pay-per-view. The story was there, now these two just had to deliver, which is precisely what they did. The match's narrative was set up when Rollins tweaked his knee early on. Miz, like the well-manicured shark that he is, smelled blood and spent the rest of the fight targeting his foe's battered leg. This led to some seriously tight near falls, as fans genuinely thought the evil heel might use the valiant babyface's injury to his advantage. It is a tale as old as wrestling time, but it's a classic for a reason. Eventually, Rollins overcame his busted strut and pinned Miz to retain. An absolute blinder of a match, this was easily the best pay-per-view opener of 2018 and the best match of Backlash as a whole. That said, given that this was the show that featured that god-awful Roman Reigns Samoa Joe main event, the bar was relatively low. Number 3, the Men's Royal Rumble at Royal Rumble. The 2018 Royal Rumble...
The 2018 Royal Rumble was cool. You had some great people in there. You had Andrade be in there. You had Adam Cole, baby, be in there. You had the return of Rey Mysterio after a couple of years. You had the Final Four that was pretty much Roman, John Cena, Finn Balor, and Shinsuke Nakamura. You had this new school versus old school type of thing going. You had the return of Dolph Ziggler at number 30. There was a possibility that he could have ended up winning that match, but it was not the case. Shinsuke winning was really a great move. It's just how they followed up with this I do not like whatsoever. You literally had this guy win the Royal Rumble to lose at WrestleMania when he had all the momentum going for him into WrestleMania. I don't understand it.
Pay-per-view marked the first time ever that women got given their own version of the titular match. The inaugural Women's Rumble was okay, and Asuka's win was definitely the right call, but there would be much better examples of the format in years to come. As for the menfolk, they knocked it right out the park. Perhaps spurred on by the fact that the ladies were getting the main events, the fellas pulled out all the stops to make their Rumble one for the ages. There were surprises ranging from NXT champion Andrade to the Hurricane, an all-timer Iron Man performance by Finn Balor, and a great Final Six that pitted WWE's past against its future.
That was another thing too. Like, you had Finn Balor, it felt like this was almost like a resurgence for him because of his performance in the Royal Rumble, being the Iron Man, coming out I think number 2 and then making it to the Final Four. There was a small smidge of hope during this match that I felt like it's a possibility that Finn Balor could have won this. I'm not gonna lie. And then went to SmackDown to face AJ, who was WWE champion. Oh, I would have loved that.
When all was said and done, it was Shinsuke Nakamura who left with the W after last eliminating Roman Reigns. That allowed him to go and challenge WWE champion AJ Styles at WrestleMania 34. The fact that that match isn't on this list should tell you just how disappointing it was. Anyway, 2018 is easily amongst the best of all the modern men's rumbles and goes to show that a little friendly competition isn't always a bad thing. Number 2, Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair at Evolution. In a move that definitely wasn't an...
WWE, can you bring back Evolution, please? Can we get an all-women's pay-per-view and then introduce a women's mid-card title, please? Or wait, or at Mania if we're not going to get Evolution, but bring back Evolution. That pay-per-view was really good. That pay-per-view was really, really good. The match that Becky and Charlotte had, I think that's got to be like one of their best matches of their entire feud. Like, last woman standing. Yeah, we don't need to run that back. Not the feud, but the pay-per-view for sure.
An apology for them being banned from performing in Saudi Arabia, WWE gave their ladies their own exclusive pay-per-view in 2018. There were fun matches all around at Evolution, from an NXT Women's Championship defense to the Mae Young Classic final to Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella, but one bout stands head and shoulders above the rest in terms of quality. Off the back of her recent mannish shift in attitude, Becky Lynch defended her SmackDown SmackDown Women's Championship against old rival Charlotte Flair, but this was no ordinary match. This was a last woman standing match. The horsewomen went all out in beating each other to a bloody pulp, spilling all over the place in one of the most chaotic matches of the entire year. The spot to end all spots came when Lynch leapt off a ladder to crash through Flair and one of the announce tables, a moment that would have seemed unthinkable in a women's match just a few years earlier. Becky might have retained, but this was a victory for female wrestlers and fans of women's wrestling everywhere. Number 1, Brock Lesnar versus Daniel Bryan at Survivor Series.
A true David versus Goliath storyline. I think for the longest time, we wanted to see those two cross paths and have a match. I think there was the first opportunity that they could have done that in 2015, I believe, if Daniel would have won the WWE, the Royal Rumble that year, but it went to Roman. Then you had an opportunity again, I think, when we had Roman versus Daniel Bryan, Fastlane that year, and the winner went on to face Brock. This was a match that I think people wanted to see for a long time. I think the original plan is if Daniel Bryan didn't get injured in 2014 and had to relinquish the titles, it would have been this at 2014 SummerSlam, but it would have been like how the John Cena match ended up, and then we would have probably capitalized and ran it back. So it's just crazy to think that like we could have gotten this match like 4 years earlier if he didn't get injured. So it's crazy to think about.
Rumor has it that Daniel Bryan was initially scheduled to be squashed by Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam 2014 before his injury led to John Cena taking that position instead. 4 years later, the two finally got their match at Survivor Series, and it was so much better than anyone could have expected. It looked like fans of the American Dragon were in for a rough night as Lesnar beat him from pillar to post in this WWE Champion versus Universal Champion clash. But that just made it even sweeter when Bryan made his comeback using his greatest superpower, kicking dudes in the balls. Though deep down we knew that he was never gonna win, Bryan made everybody believe that he stood a chance of slaying the beast. His near falls were absolutely electric as fans bought into the slim possibility of him pinning Lesnar only to have their hopes dashed one.
And it worked because they were both technically heels, but like him using his surroundings to his advantage and using his speed to his advantage, and then it looked like he was just getting squashed, but then at the last second he came back, and then it elevated the match to a new gear, and the match really was like the best match of 2018. Easily like one of my favorite matches in Survivor Series history. I think another match that I would put up there is AJ versus Lesnar for sure. So, and then you have like the NXT versus Raw versus SmackDown. I think that was some great matches there too. But that's the end of the video, you guys. Comment down below, let me know what are some of your favorite matches from 2018, if they weren't on this list, and if they were on this list, why were they one of your favorite matches of the year? I would love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. We're on the road to 300 subscribers. We're very close to that milestone, but the ultimate goal is 10K. When I do hit 10K, I will do a giveaway. One of my lucky subscribers will have the opportunity to win a WWE Championship from WWE Shop. So if you want to have the opportunity to be a part of that giveaway and be that potential lucky subscriber that does win, subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. You can always change your mind in the future. But why would you want to do that? I'm trying to give you guys daily wrestling content. The grind does not stop. Super hit that like button, helps my channel get pushed across the platform so more people can see what I'm doing over here on YouTube. Superman punch that post notification bell and so every time I post a new video, whether it's a reaction video, live stream, rant video, any type of video, you can be in the loop of things when I do drop a video and spear the subscribe button. It takes 3 seconds out of your day to do those 3 things for me. Helps on the progression of my channel. But with that being said, I hope everybody has a great day, a great week, and I'll see you guys in the next video.